Hello YouTube and welcome to Prime Productions. I'm here to help enhance your tabletop gaming experience. So, at this point, PaizoCon 2024 was almost a month ago, therefore I think this is going to be the last of my PaizoCon panel recaps. There were a lot more panels that I didn't get to, don't get me wrong, but many of them were opinion or advice related, things like GM tips and how to add whimsy to your games. And those are good panels, don't get me wrong, it's just not a lot of content I can add to them. But there was one more PaizoCon 2024 broadcast that I wanted to talk about. While the Starfinder panel had a lot of cool, interesting stuff, even more Starfinder playtest info was revealed in an actual play. Yeah, several members of Paizo's development team got together to do a 2-hour broadcasted actual play of the Starfinder playtest, and we got to see choice bits of information that I don't think had been revealed yet. So, here we go. Now, before I get started, couple of things. First off, remember I'm grabbing this video off of a Twitch stream, so sorry if the video and image quality isn't the best. Secondly, I want to remind you folks at home, or maybe inform you if you haven't heard of this before, of a few things. A major revelation came about from the PaizoCon 2024 keynote address. To kick off Starfinder 2, Paizo has exploded Octurne, which is kinda like the Pluto of the Starfinder universe. Turns out Octurne was actually an egg and some sort of Cthulhian nightmare horror hatched from it. Actually, it's not that. We learn in this playtest adventure that the creature that hatched is a deity, or at least on the same power level as a deity, and is called the Newborn. Not much is known about the Newborn in-universe, including how to worship it, but it has been revealed that the favored weapon of this deity is the Chakram. The other thing I want to remind you or inform you about is the Starfinder field tests. These act as kind of pre-playtests, alpha playtests if you will. 3 were for classes that only go through the first 5 levels and have a few other things like weapons or spells. All of the classes that were released in the field tests have been changed and updated since the field test was released for that class, in minor ways, and we actually see that in this actual play. As for the actual play, it was only 2 hours long and the basic adventure was pretty bare bones. It was basically just a vehicle to show off what the classes can do. The Starfinders find one of their off-site data storage servers has been compromised, so they send a group of first-level Starfinders to investigate. There they find some mischievous teens have broken in and installed some glitch gremlins into the servers, which are wreaking havoc. After clearing out the gremlins, a local street gang shows up to take over the compromised servers, and the Starfinders have to defend it. Shess is a Lashunta Mystic, Velarkus, or Veil for short, is a Kasatha Envoy, and I think he has the Borai versatile heritage, though I don't think that was said specifically. Zazie is a Solarian Sheeran, and Wyndon Plasmatail is a Patra soldier. So I'm going to go over each character and talk about all of the new revelations that we got with that character. And then there will be a section at the end to talk about the new revelations that the GM, Thurston Hillman, gave us. So, starting off with Shess. Shess is a Lashunta, and if you don't know what those are, they are a vaguely telepathic alien species from Castrovel, a lush jungle planet that is the second planet from the sun in Galarian's system. The first revelation we get about her is that she is a new thing called an unbound Lashunta. You see, Lashunta are strange. When they reach puberty, they tend to differentiate into either intellectual Lashunta called Daimya or physical Lashunta called Karasha. What causes this differentiation is complicated and has some real-world history that I do not want to get into in this video. Anyway, it's revealed that some Lashunta do not differentiate, and these are called unbound Lashunta. This is new and has never been an option in Pathfinder before. Shess is a mystic. Mystics in Starfinder are spellcasters who have some sort of connection to a fundamental concept of the universe, like healing or the song of nature. Shess is connected to the Akashic Record. The record is an idea that exists in the real world, not just in Starfinder. Some people believe that there is a field that contains the sum of all experience and knowledge in the universe, this Akashic Record. Now, this Akashic connection is new for Starfinder 2, as the only connections we got in the field test were healing and that Song of Nature one. It was in Starfinder 1st edition, though. Mystics in Starfinder 2nd Edition have this thing where they have this pool of hit points that they can transfer to someone to heal them as an action. Each Mystic gives you a little buff when they transfer hit points to you, and we find out that the Akashic buff is that one person receiving healing can make a recall knowledge check as a reaction. Probably the best part of the actual play was when Shess transferred hit points to the Super Sports Ball Jock, and he used his free recall knowledge check to ask the GM the workout routine of the enemy gang members. The response was, of course, they don't even lift, bro.
I also just like the idea that all of a sudden Wyndon has access to like all of like knowledge and experience ever at his fingertips, and he's like, no, I just need to know like how athletic they look.
Right.
Anyway, Shess worships the newborn. Mystics don't have to worship a deity, but many do, as faith is a common conduit through which many mystics discover their connection. Anyway, Shess has, but never uses, a chakram, which is the favored weapon of her deity. From this, I think she took the feat Martial Disciple, which gives you training in your deity's favored weapon. Now, Mystics don't normally get a class feat at level 1, so I think Unbound Lashunta may give you a first level class feat similar to the Natural Ambition Human Ancestry feat. Or maybe Mystics have been changed since the field test to automatically give them their deific weapon, who knows. Shess also displays a new spell called Akashic Download. I think this is her connection spell, as all Mystics get a focus spell at level 1 that is related to their connection. Akashic Download is a 3-action spell that lasts like a day. It basically gives you a bonus to your recall knowledge checks, but goes away the first time you succeed on such a check. But that's all I was able to gather. We don't actually get the text of the spell. Lastly, Shess displayed a few other new spells. We do get the text of one called Eldritch Lance, which is a mental attack cantrip that does decent damage but has to beat a target's AC. So unlike Daze, it's kind of an all-or-nothing thing. Velarcus, or Veil for short, is a Kasatha, a 4-armed alien species that views it as culturally rude to expose their mouths. I believe Veil is a Borai. Borai existed in Starfinder 1, but are being turned into a versatile heritage for Starfinder 2. Borai are creatures that are kinda half alive, half undead. Veil was in a starship near Octurne when it exploded, and that incident brought him to the brink of death, and he never quite fully recovered. Veil is an envoy, specifically a Through Desperate Times envoy, which is the name of his subclass. Basically, he's good at medicine. The field test shows us that envoys are kinda like melee bards and shares a lot of design space with the Playtest commander. They don't have spells, but they do pretty well in combat. Specifically, they have an action called Get 'em. We do learn that the Get 'em action has been buffed since the field test. In the field test, Get 'em gives a -1 penalty to an enemy's AC, and then, if the envoy attacks that enemy on the same turn, for the rest of the round, the envoy and everyone else does 1 extra damage to that enemy. Now the enemy suffers a -1 to AC and reflex saves, and if the envoy hits them, the damage is boosted by 1 plus half their charisma bonus, but everyone else still only does that 1 extra damage. Please note that Get 'em imposes a circumstance penalty to AC, so it does not stack with flanking. Zazie is a former Starfinder who has been called out of retirement, and she is a Shirin Solarian. Shirin are an insect alien species. Think of the bugs from Starship Troopers if some of them gained free will and sentience and wanted to, just join society and be chill. Solarians have not gotten a field test yet, but in first edition they were people who had such a deep understanding of the stars that they developed powers that can emulate stellar phenomena. They tend to have 2 modes: photon mode, which calls on the light that a star can produce, and graviton mode, which emulates the gravity that they have. In Zazie's intro, her player says this.
She's a degradant Solarian, so she's usually attuned to graviton.
So we can infer that a degradant is probably a subclass of Solarian and probably has something to do with giving her bonuses in graviton mode. We do learn that upon rolling initiative, Solarians activate 3 abilities, called Solar Weapon, Solar Flare, and Solar Nimbus. Solar Weapon gives you a melee weapon made out of energy that you can bonk people with. Solar Flare lets you shoot, though it does less damage than the weapon, but it has range. We never see Solar Nimbus used, though we are told that it is an energy field that envelops your body and gives you a reaction if you are hit. We do get a look at one cool ability called Stellar Rush, which lets a person move farther than normal, then at the end of their movement explode into a small area attack, kind of like Sudden Charge, if Sudden Charge ended in a small explosion instead of an attack. Stellar Rush also has a new cycle trait that forces a Solarian to switch from graviton mode to photon mode, or presumably vice versa when they use it. Interestingly, solar weapons in Starfinder 1st Edition could look like anything but had to use only one hand. It seems now that there are options for two-handed weapons like Zazi's Graviton Halberd, or possibly even making two solar weapons that you can fight using two-weapon fighting. We are told about this, but we don't see it. Winden Plasmatail is a Patra close combat soldier. Patra are a species of feline aliens that come from the planet of Polonus, a forest planet. He was a Brutaris player, which is a sport in Starfinder. He has a move speed of 30 at level 1, which likely means that Patra start with a move speed of 30 like elves and a few other ancestries. He started play with something called a reusable grenade shell, which is a somewhat expensive item that can turn any grenade from a consumable to a once-a-day item, and Winden reflavored his grenade shell as his Brutaris ball. Oh, and we find out that Winden can draw and throw a grenade as a single action. I'm not sure if that's a soldier feature or a trait that all grenades have. One of the bigger reveals is that if a soldier damages anyone with a blast, like a grenade, they cause those hit to gain the suppressed condition. This is even if the opponent makes the save against the grenade. Suppressed is a new Starfinder condition that gives an enemy a -1 to hit and a -5-foot penalty to speed. Now, in the playtest, this ability to suppress people even on a save was exclusively the purview of the Bombard soldier, and Winden is stated many times to be a close combat soldier, so this suppress even on a successful save thing may be something that all soldiers get now. The biggest thing we get from Winden is something called Whirling Swipe, which may be a close combat soldier feature or a feat. Either way, it's not in the field test. It is a melee area attack that gets harder to resist if you use a weapon with the sweep trait which Winden's Plasma Doshko has. Sweeping through enemies can also make enemies suppressed, though how is unclear. We don't get the wording on it. Oh, and it appears that a soldier's Punitive Strike feature has been dropped in favor of just plain old Reactive Strike like fighters get. At one point, an enemy fires point blank at Winden, and Winden gets to make a free hit on him in response. The old playtest Punitive Strike didn't allow for an attack if someone made a ranged attack against you, but Reactive Strike does. Lastly, a few miscellaneous things that the GM revealed. The players fought glitch gremlins. Their stat blocks were released in the 5th field test. That was one of the encounters you could run. We do see a new creature in energy scamps. Scamps in the remaster are terms for small extraplanar creatures, but this scamp was specifically computer related, so that's something new. The big reveal was that there was an enemy Witchwarper which seemed to have the ability of PC Witchwarpers. Witchwarpers are a spellcasting class that has somehow become unmoored from reality, which gives them access to spells. The Witchwarper they fought could, as an action, put up a quantum bubble that acted like an aura. Apparently all Witchwarpers can do this, but each bubble is different, presumably based on your Witchwarper subclass. This Witchwarper's bubble made a field that gave people concealment, but once you defeated concealment for the round once, you didn't have to worry about it until the start of your next turn. Also, we learn about this new spell, Mind Skewer, which is another mental damaging spell, rank 1, but we didn't get to see the text of this one. And that was it. That was all I could glean from the actual play. I'll link the video in the description. Maybe you can find more stuff I missed. Was any of this news to you? Did any new information revealed here get you hyped for Starfinder 2? Let me know what you think in the comments below. And while you're commenting, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. That tells not only me, but also YouTube that you like this kind of content and would like to see more. Thank you, good luck, and happy gaming!